Alright, time for another Wacky pack run. And what we're going to do today is see if we can complete an old challenge that I haven't done for quite a while, and that is going AFK. So we're just going to have a quick example run at the very beginning here, where we have skipped over turns 1 and 2 without buying anything. And then now I'm going to start buying some tier 2s. This game actually ended up kind of getting a bit messed up in terms of the recording, because at the end my mouse wasn't working properly, so it was kind of stuttering across the screen. But we're going to skip over that part anyway. If you haven't seen this already, this Wacky pack adds the boat toy, which you can see on the right hand side. And that means that every shop you can only roll pets of the current tier. And they can be from any pack as well. So that means that as soon as we level up the shop tier, we're guaranteed to find better units. And so that makes it perfectly suited for going for an AFK challenge. So we get a pretty decent start here with getting the Deer Lord from the Spider Pill, which is going to allow us to get access to the Dolphin very quickly as well. And then we'll fast forward here onto the last shop phase. This is where I had to cut out a lot of the stuff because the mouse movement was so erratic, but also just to keep the length of this video nice and short. And we've pivoted all the way up to having a very strong summon team with double amalgamation in the backline. And we're going to easily take care of this team on turn 15. But a 2-turn AFK was really just a proof of concept. So now we'll try and go one step further with a 3-turn AFK. Now, I think in this one I am actually going to roll down instead of just skipping the first 2 turns. Because we can roll pets like Mouse and the Pigeons, which can let you buy, sell, and create food in the shop, which is a good way of being able to boost up the units that you do eventually buy. Although here, yeah, we roll down those 2 turns and we only find 1 of the sell units. Okay, we do actually find 2 Pigeons as well. And because we are going for 3 turns of AFK, we can buy, sell them before we get to turn 4. And then once we get to 3 gold, there's nothing we can do, so I'm just going to click end turn. So now we need to buy stuff, and most of the time you're just going to be buying the 3 pets that are visible in the starting shop, unless they're absolutely terrible. But here we get a decent selection with the Flamingo, the toy from the Lemur, and also the Tadpole, which is basically 4/4 base stats when you buy it. Now we get tier 3 unlocked, so we get Dog and Weasel, which is going to be a big boost to the team, especially since we can now top up the Weasel stats using the food that we had frozen. Looks like we might be able to scrape a tie here. Or maybe the Sacred Falcon's going to... Okay, yes, it is a draw. Draws are basically wins this early because... we want to survive as long as possible so we can start buying some of the high tier units. Because of the way that the shop works in this pack, it really does benefit you pivoting quite a bit. And it makes it so that if you can optimize your pivot a bit better than everyone else, it's much easier to mitigate those early turns where you just did absolutely nothing. Although I guess in this case we didn't do nothing, we did get some food frozen. So upgrading the Weasel, again, it's probably the only thing that I'm going to be willing to keep here. Although maybe we do end up keeping the Slug, I can't remember exactly what happens here. Another fairly easy win. But we do need to think about getting rid of most of these units since we are going to have stronger units available very soon. And we take the stat boost on the Tasmanian Devil using the Vanilla Bean. And again, it's a fairly weak opposing team. The randomness of the shop does also help quite a bit. You know, there are going to be plenty of players who have been offered bad units, you know, that or units that are reliant on specific synergies that are going to be hard to put together in a pack where there are random pets. So I think it's better just to take the units that have good standalone value. like most of the things we have here on the squad, we have been lucky enough to get the combination of Slug plus Tatzelworm. So we're not completely without synergy in this team. And then we get a nice boost of stats on the Slug with the Polar Bear. I'm going to take now. Probably should have taken the Crocodile there. But instead we're going to take Kappa for a turn. It is possible to feint Kappa in this weekly, but I didn't save a pill. And I also don't have Deerlord or Mantis. But this is kind of funny where their spawns deny them the opportunity to get the Kappa summon. And so it's another comfortable win. But now we get access to all the tier 6s, so we need to get rid of some of these units as soon as we can. I think actually I'm only going to get rid of the Tatzelworm from these remaining 3. I think did this team have a bus at the backline, or did we snipe that? Kind of unusual to see. Maybe it was just the mana snipe. Oh no, it was the Tasmanian Devil, of course. So we get the Phoenix, which is still an incredibly strong unit, but also gives us a good chance to tie. Another fairly weak looking team, although they do have level 2 Secretary Guard. But yeah, they just don't have enough summons to take advantage of it. Unnecessary critical hit there from the Weasel. And I think this is the team locked in now. We just need to keep buying the premium foods. Funny interaction here with the onion on the Rockhopper, causing it to jump back before the Tasmanian Devil attacks it. I don't think that actually works. You know, onion with Rockhopper, the Rockhopper can only ever trigger once without a level up reset. So I'm sure that person found that out sooner or later. And then look at this team from Matchman. Level 3 Caterpillar, and then 3 real Velociraptors to keep regenerating the melon at the front. But we still managed to break through. I was really scared when I saw that team, but luckily it's a win. So now we have 2 hearts. We just need to get 1 extra trophy to get this slightly more difficult AFK run over the line. Upgrade the Weasel to Stake, which does get used up once, but is definitely better than Fortune Cookie. 50-50 Owl at the front, but the Stake takes care of it. Rockhopper does generate some good trumpets, but with the health that we bought for the Phoenix, we're going to trade 2 for 1 in the backline, and the young Phoenix wins it. So I thought that wasn't too difficult. I'm not sure how many attempts I actually had at that. But of course, what we're going to do now is move it one step further and go for 4 turns of AFK. Now, if you want to go for this challenge yourself, do post a replay code in the description if you can manage to get a 4 turns or higher AFK run and win, as long as it's not in easy mode. And it looks like I'm going to get pretty unlucky here. I think I actually rolled past the pigeon there by accident. Now we're on to tier 2. There aren't really that many units on tier 2 that you could be buy-selling. I guess I can freeze food, so I'm just going to freeze the radish. Yeah, we give up there on finding anything useful. Yeah, and it looks like I'm just going to give up on the second tier as well. Sometimes even if there is technically an advantage to rolling down, sometimes I just do that in order to speed up how quickly I can get through reps of a challenge. Because a lot of these challenges are just, you know, attritional, where you just have to keep playing until you get the good enough RNG. So I think here we actually get a good matchup. A fairly weak looking team on turn 5, but we're still going to lose. So we're already down to 1 heart on turn 6, 0 wins. But I think our fortunes are going to turn around from here on out. So we'll take Anteater, definitely the highest value thing in the shop there. And then maybe I could freeze the Blue Dragon, but I guess, yeah, Probably better just to leave the shop open, and I don't think I'm going to keep the hoopoe bird, so we won't take the duplicate there. Yeah, this looks like it's touch and go, but I think we're barely going to scrape the tie, and so the run stays alive. Now, whale is a good get on turn 7. Yeah, we'll swap things around so we get 2 anteaters. And actually we get deer here, so we'll just sell the anteater. And I think I'm going to look for, yeah, something else to double the value of the vanilla bean. So deer comes in, and then we can put the Amazon River Dolphin behind the deer. And because this weekly is, kind of volatile in these early turns, when you get to turn 7 with 0 wins, there are going to be plenty of opponents to play against. I had a fair few runs like this where I got this far and just unable to get a single win. Of course, we did forfeit the first 4 turns, but of course you do still regain a life on turn 3 if you lost a battle in the first 2 turns. So easy win here. You know, whale plus deer is still strong. It doesn't really matter which pack it's in. Now, this is a little bit on the greedy side here, taking bonobo. But I think we just have to take advantage of the fact that for a couple of turns before everyone else, has tier 6s across the board, the whale plus deer is going to carry pretty hard. So if we want to get levels, then we need to take any bonobo we get access to. I bring in the ibex as well, which is going to allow us with the chili to reduce the damage output that we need to actually knock out other units. So we'll combine the deer together. And I think a decent number of these units I'm going to actually keep the whole way now. Even though it's tempting to try and replace everything with tier 6s. Since we're down to 1 heart, we just don't have the same amount of leeway for the pivot. And we do actually find a flounder with 2 partial level ups on board. So that couldn't really have gone much better, even though we didn't really buy very much in that shop phase. Looks like we're in decent shape here, yeah. The snipe from the River Dolphin gets the doggo into range to be knocked out. So now we can take the double level up. I'm not sure if there's going to be anything that we would unlock on tier 6 that we're specifically looking for. I guess Rockhopper would make sense with the River Dolphin. Yeah, and there's actually another one in shop already that's been pushed all the way to the right hand side. It's sitting in the food shop at the moment. So we'll freeze that for... okay, it looks like I'm just going to take it now instead of the whale. Maybe it doesn't seem like the greatest idea to do that when we're giving up on having a deer spawn another bus. But I think at this point it's kind of now or never. The rockhoppers themselves, generating 12 trumpets, as long as they don't get sniped at start of battle, that's just so valuable. As you can see here, the 24/24 gets summoned. Normally the doggo isn't going to be jumping in front of the River Dolphin. It's just because the ibex was removed as well. And it looks like I'm going to take mushroom here, probably on the ibex, to make sure that we can still get some stat reduction if it does get removed. Or maybe we're just going to take the health. Okay, looks like I'm going to take both. I guess mushroom does serve the double purpose of potentially, winning us a round that we would otherwise have tied. Because now we've reached this stage, we don't want to be tying anymore. We need to just be winning every single round. This is kind of funny here with the hippo with oyster mushroom on it, which doesn't do anything. And we definitely need to take the perks here. Probably should just buy the melon on the rockhopper, yeah, just to try and prevent it being sniped. And I think this is really the team pretty much set now. We're not really going to be able to level up the River Dolphin, but that's fine. It's still helping to chip away at these units. And of course, the ibex reducing the stats does increase the value of the River Dolphin, in that it could potentially snipe something that has been taken down to very low health. Quite a few teams like this with the sawfish in the backline, but this team didn't manage to level it up. So it's another win. I think I'm getting a lot of health food here, but yeah, we would like to get some hot dogs to increase the attack output of our squad. This is pretty funny here where this team has got the grizzly bear at the front. Not exactly sure why. I guess it's because of the Komodo at the back, but I'm not sure why you would buy grizzly bear if you're going to play Komodo. The ibex I don't think really mattered there, but luckily the doggo hangs on from the porcupine snipe. It's funny where you see instances like that where, you know, in a normal game you'd expect to be knocked out because you would think by that point the porcupine would be a higher level, but a lot of units are going to be level 1 still in this weekly. And yeah, I think a weird thing happens here with the jump attack. Yeah, I was a bit confused here. I didn't notice that the ibex had actually already lowered the stats on the African wild dog. I think I'm going to watch the replay here because I couldn't quite understand what happened, but it's just because of the jump attack that it looked a bit weird. Yeah, 27 health taken away, and then the Amargasaurus tops it back up. Just going to spread some buffs around a bit more so that not everything is just concentrated in the dolphin. So we just need one more win for the 4-turn AFK, and look at this, it's opposing river dolphin. And luckily, because we're facing the extremely strong fairy armadillo, the ibex takes care of its huge amount of health, and then the sleepy on the river dolphin really didn't matter in the end. And there we go, so that is a 4-turn AFK win in the Toy Boat Wacky Weekly. Do let me know in the comments if you give this a go. At time of recording, there are still a few days left before the weekly rolls over.